So what is really happening with the TikTok ban? Hello, non-TikTok users. This video is for people who aren't on TikTok and may only have limited information based on their chosen news sources. I wanted to make sure that you have all the information about what is really happening to 150 million Americans starting tomorrow. If you are a true freedom-loving, don't tread on me American, then you should care about what is happening and the horrifying implication that this precedent is setting for our constitutionally protected rights, government oversight and accountability, and most importantly, the people's ability to have any real power. Here are some things that you may have been told about TikTok. Number one, you may have been told that it is owned by the Chinese. That is actually false. TikTok's parent company ByteDance is 60% owned by non-Chinese citizens, including many investors that are American citizens. It's headquartered in the US and employs thousands of US citizens to oversee content and operations. Data on US citizens is housed in the US and already subject to US data protection laws. The owner of that data is a US citizen named Larry Ellison. The company was founded with $150 million in US capital investment funds, and 4 out of 5 of its board members are Americans. So where did the talking points that this is a Chinese threat come from? Because some of ByteDance's owners are Chinese nationals, and in China, when you own a business, the government gets to tell you what to do with it. So the talking points are that if the Chinese government wanted to sow discord and propaganda into the US, they could compel the Chinese owners to manipulate the algorithm in a way that would turn Americans against America. But this hypothetical situation can immediately be proven false by the simple fact that China does not allow TikTok in its borders. Albania, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India, and now joining their ranks, the United States, does not allow their citizens to access TikTok. Other countries' intelligence agencies, after examining the app, have found no evidence of a threat to their nation's security. But China doesn't allow their citizens to access the app because China doesn't control it. If China did have this power to control it and manipulate the algorithm to say what it wanted to say, their citizens would have it. Instead, they have created their own app, RedNote, which is fully under Chinese control for their citizens to be able to use. So Chinese interference via TikTok can be proven a non-issue through the simple fact that they've banned it for their own people because they can't control it. The irony here is that the US government is doing the exact same thing under the guise of protecting US citizens from controlling oppressive communist China. Number two, you've been told that TikTok is a huge data and security risk. But if you're watching this online on one of the other platforms, your data is already gone. The other large social media platforms have proven to be a much worse offender of people's private information, with one of the worst offenders of privacy and security being Facebook Messenger. Chinese sites like Temu and Shein are notorious for malware and security breaches, but are not facing any congressional scrutiny. Number three, you've probably been told that TikTok is just a brainless time waster full of half-dressed dancing girls. There is definitely that stuff on there, and if you train your algorithm that way, that is what your TikTok experience will be. But for most of the 170 million users of TikTok, it has become a place of education, with thousands of doctors, teachers, professors, skilled tradesmen, homemakers, lawyers, accountants, people who help you reduce medical bills, people who show you how to fix your car and patch your clothes, all sharing their expertise. It's become a place for artists, musicians, and small business owners to market and gain a following for their craft. It's become a free third place that connects people in specific phases of life, like motherhood, disability, domestic violence, or hobbies. TikTok is also a source of income for over 7 million Americans, with hundreds of thousands of those people having the platform being their primary source of income. And come Sunday, we'll essentially be laid off with no unemployment, no COBRA, and nowhere else to go since the other apps don't work the way TikTok does. TikTok puts $24 billion into the GDP. TikTok's algorithm works in a unique way that gives visibility to anybody. Your content's visibility is not predicated on you being a celebrity, being blue check verified, already having a large following, or aligning with any specific messaging like it is on the other applications. That is why people who have built their entire businesses or communities can't just move to another platform. It can't be replicated anywhere else. TikTok is proprietarily designed to give average Joe viewer access to average Joe's content. Which brings us to why. Why the bipartisan push to get rid of one specific app if everything that they've told us about it is actually a non-issue? And the answer is control. It's a tactic borrowed from oppressive regimes and implemented by our representatives to control the American people. The same average person to average person communication that makes the app so great terrifies those in power. It terrifies Congress because we talk about reforms like term limits and we publish congressional trading investments. It terrifies the corporations that own our Congress because we can organize boycotts in a matter of days, which we did with Starbucks and with Kellogg after the CEO of Kellogg made a statement that if Americans can't afford meat, then they should just eat cereal for dinner. Our supposed representatives have great financial interest in eliminating TikTok. It is not a publicly shared company, but their competition is. If you were to make a Venn diagram of those who invested in their competitor and those who voted to ban TikTok, it would be a circle. But our Congress engages in all the insider trading it wants with no repercussions. Don't just take my word for it. Listen to the words of Rand Paul about what this ban is really about. Then, for the 150 million of your fellow Americans who are about to lose their rights, and the implications of what this means for your future rights, please call your representative and tell them this is not what we do in America.
I do believe that banning a social media app like TikTok is a violation of the First Amendment. I haven't had a chance to read the ruling yet, but very disappointed. 170 million Americans express themselves on TikTok on a daily basis, and it's just wrong for the government to ban it. Most of the reasons the government banned it were based on accusations, not proof. I've never been tried and found guilty of sharing information with a communist government or any of that. They've actually offered, through our Foreign Investment Committee that oversees foreign investments, they've offered to have the data here. They've offered to work with Oracle to house the data in the United States. They've offered to have an American board. In fact, it's misreported that it's a Chinese company to begin with. It's owned, 60% of the company is owned by international investors. But disappointing. I don't think the battle's over yet, though. I'm hopeful that President Trump, in coming in, can have some ability. It sounds like Biden left the door open, perhaps, for some executive action from President Trump, and I hope that's what will happen.